All right, so can you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, name's Tim Seidel, currently teaching grade 5-6 at Noarlunga Downs. Previously worked 4.5 years up on the APY lands, the Aboriginal communities at the far northwest of South Australia. Yeah, enjoyed my time up there, opened my eyes to a range of things, and good to be back in mainstream schooling though.
Yeah. You've covered what was your role in the school. Are you aware of ILP's individual learning plans for Indigenous students?
Yes.
What sort of considerations do you think, as a pre-service teacher, we should be taking into account when we come into a school?
Read them. So they exist, and read them. Chat with the class teachers that you're going to be working with, and in theory, every lesson they should be having some kind of learning goal or something, for particularly students with ILPs, but then also extends to students with NEPs. So make yourself familiar with them, because when used properly they are a pretty handy document to have. Unfortunately, in my experience, and I'm guilty of it as well, it tends to sort of be an extra piece of paperwork that you fill out and don't always have in the forefront of your mind.
All right, and so what are your thoughts about ILPs being compulsory for Indigenous students?
Mixed. So previously being a teacher up on the Aboriginal lands, you've got 100% Aboriginal students, and to have an individual learning plan for every single student tended to be it didn't become individualised. Generally you would come up with a generic one that would kind of meet the needs of the class in that context. And my experience now in a mainstream school, there's some Indigenous students who are performing, quite well and above the Australian curriculum standards, and so I don't really see what purpose the ILP serves for those students. So I think, for me, I get more use out of the NEPs, which for Indigenous students who have an ILP and an NEP, generally the ILP is just the NEP. We sort of attach that to that form, and that satisfies that criteria. So for me, I would say that the NEPs, they're far more detailed, and it's a bit more of a collaborative process between student, teacher and family. So I see more benefit with that.
Oh, that's good, thanks. So just for those that don't know, what are NEPs?
Yeah, Negotiated Education Program. So students with learning difficulties or perhaps behaviour difficulties. Just a process of monitoring and setting short and long-term goals to enable students to be successful in certain areas.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Tim.
You're welcome.